The past two episodes of Andor have been building towards this moment, the moment when Cassian Andor properly gets his feet wet in the world of rebellion. And if you're like me and you were blown away by everything that happened in episode 3, then this is the video for you, because we are going to talk about how awesome this episode was, and we're also going to be talking about some of the moments you might have missed. And spoiler alert, there are a lot of cool moments that you might have missed in this episode. So let's talk about them right now. Hey everyone, it's me here with a breakdown of Disney's Andor, and for those of you who are new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing so that way you do not miss any future breakdowns. And let's jump into those moments you might have missed. This entire episode is essentially a heist episode, but we've never really seen anything like this in the Star Wars universe before. It's not quite like the Mandalorian episode that had the group go into the vault to steal the child. This is more akin to something like the diamond job in the original Star Wars trilogy. And I am saying that because there are so many different facets of this heist that just work so well together. You have the inside man in Mon Mothma, the hired muscle in Cassian, the getaway driver in Yuloth, and even the actual con man in Luthen Rael. Even Bishop and Trumbull fit into this mold perfectly as they essentially the getaway vessel in this scenario. You lines noticed that I left Gemma Simmons out of this list, and that's because she's essentially the MacGuffin in this episode. That's a term used in storytelling to describe the object or the thing that drives the plot forward. In this case, the MacGuffin is the data that will bring down the Empire. And without that data, none of this would have occurred. The other important aspect of this episode is that it's a showcase of how dangerous Cassian can be when he sets his mind to something. Remember that Cassian is a thief. He's not supposed to be someone who takes on the might of the Galactic Empire. He's just trying to get enough credits to survive and take care of his sister. But this episode shows us that when he teams up with someone who shares his ideals, when he teams up with someone who has a bigger vision than himself, that's when Cassian truly becomes an effective member of the rebellion. Another interesting aspect of this episode is that we actually get to see a bit of Leia in action. Now, I know that we're all probably hoping for her to be a bit more kick-ass, but we do get to see her use her what's to escape captivity. I personally thought that the scene where she essentially plays dumb was one of the funniest scenes in the episode, if not the entire series so far. But what I loved about this scene is that it's not only a testament to how Leia is able to escape these Imperials, but it's also a sign of the strength of women in the Star Wars universe. She doesn't need to be rescued by a man, she rescues herself. Now, speaking of Leia, remember that Leia is searching for a lost Jedi in this episode. Well, actually, she's searching for Luke Skywalker. In the novelization of the original Star Wars movie, we learn that Leia actually believes that there are surviving Jedi out there in the galaxy. That's why she keeps the locket with her, and that's why she ends up sending R2-D2 to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. But sadly, that won't happen until episode 4 of the original trilogy. But what I wanted to point out here is that we see a bit of that same determination here in episode 3 of Andor, when Cassian says that he has no issue killing people to secure the data. She quickly retorts with, "Not if you can help it." This means that even though she doesn't believe in killing if she doesn't have to, she's willing to break the rules if it means that she can make a difference against the Empire. And that's a side of Leia that we haven't really seen yet. We know that Leia is a strong leader and a capable diplomat, but this episode shows us that she's also someone who is not afraid to get their hands dirty. And that's something that I think we're really going to need to see from her as the series progresses. We get another great tie into the original trilogy in this episode when Cassian Andor uses an X-Wing starfighter to escape the Imperials. Remember that in the original trilogy, the X-Wing was one of the most popular starfighters used by the Rebel Alliance. In fact, Red Leader, who's leading the attack on the Empire's moon base in the Battle of Yavin, flies an X-Wing. And Red Leader is none other than General Dodona, the man who oversaw the construction of the Death Star plans that ended up in the hands of the rebels. So seeing Cassian fly an X-Wing really makes me think that this is the same ship that he flew later on. And since we're talking about flying things, we can't forget about the cool space battle that occurs at the end of this episode. Not only does this space battle show us just how powerful the Empire can be, but it also gives us a sense of the odds that the rebels will have to overcome if they want to stand a chance against them. The sheer firepower of the Imperial Navy is really impressive to behold, and it gives me a sense of dread for what's to come in later episodes. And speaking of dread, I think it's time that we talked about Mon Mothma. Her storyline in this episode is essentially the B-plot, but it's still a very important one. Her story arc throughout this episode really shows us just how much pressure she's under. On the one hand, she wants to be able to help the rebellion, but she's also a senator and she has to worry about the optics of her actions. She cannot just go around stealing Imperial tech and giving it to the rebels because that would look bad for her and it would make her seem disloyal to the Republic. But what I love about this episode is that it shows us that Mon Mothma is more than just a politician. She's someone who's deeply concerned about the state of the galaxy, and she is willing to put her own reputation on the line in order to help make a difference. And that's really inspiring to see, especially considering that she's one of the main characters in this series. The last thing that I want to talk about in this episode is the ending. The cliffhanger that we're left on is a big one. It seems like Cassian and his crew have successfully stolen the data that will bring down the Empire, but it turns out that they've actually been set up. The person who hired them, Luthen Rail, has actually been working with the Empire all along. And now Cassian and his crew are in the middle of a larger plot that they do not fully understand. This is a great cliffhanger because it raises the stakes for the series as a whole. Cassian and his crew are now in a dangerous game of cat and mouse with the Empire, and they do not even know it yet. They think that they've done something great, but in reality, they've just made themselves targets. So what are your thoughts on episode 3? Did you enjoy it? What did you think of the heist? And how excited are you for the next episode? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, may the Force be with you. Now this here is my old recording setup. It's definitely due for an upgrade, but if you're looking for a USB mic that doesn't break the bank, then this is the mic for you. And now this here is my current recording setup. The mic that I am using is the Blue Yeti X, and it is by far one of the best purchases I've ever made for my channel. If you're looking for a USB mic that can really take your videos to the next level, then this is the mic for you. It sounds amazing, it looks great, and it's really easy to use. But if you're looking for a microphone that's going to take your videos to the next level, then you need to check out the XLR version of the Blue Yeti X. And if you want to take your audio to the next level, then you need to check out today's sponsor, the podcast. The podcast is a narrative storytelling podcast that takes you on adventures across the globe. Each episode is like a mini movie, and they cover everything from mythology to history to science fiction. One of my favorite podcasts is called The Left-Right Game, which takes you on an adventure through the world of international espionage. It's super exciting and it'll make you question everything you know about the world. So if you're looking for a podcast that will challenge you, entertain you, and maybe even teach you a thing or two along the way, then you need to check out the podcast. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.